It was November 25th, 2024. I was bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, about to have a new developer set up, and excited to start my new journey that was nixOS. My last setup was dual booting Windows and Arch Linux on this right here. And I would code on Arch Linux, but then I would need Windows for all of my video stuff. But I think I figured out the best way to go about it. See, this mini PC is going to be running Linux. Now, I've thought of, do I want to put Arch back on it? Or do I want to try something that has been piquing my interest lately? nixOS. It seems fun. I want to give it a shot. So that's what I did. I got a second PC from Micro Center, installed nixOS, set it up with Plasma, but ditched it for Hyperland, and I was off. I configured everything from my terminal and file manager to my animated wallpaper and status bar, set up my development environment with NeoVim to try out in VS Code, and after fixing countless typos, I had spent a solid 6 hours and 42 minutes turning this little machine into the custom operating system of my dreams. And it was beautiful, but little did I know, I'd soon be using it less and less, to the point where I hadn't booted up the nixOS PC in over a month. And if you told me that at the time, I wouldn't have believed you. I was loving it those first few weeks. Coming from Windows and WSL, nixOS just felt right. Everything was declarative. I could define my entire system in code, version control it, and then if I screwed something up, which is somewhat common, I could just roll it back. And no more mystery software installs and unnecessary bloat cluttering my machine. And the workflow was clean. My Hyperland setup with Katpuchin theme, Waybar showing exactly what I needed, everything felt so snappy. And ZSH with Starship giving me Git status and language versions right in my prompt. Everything had a purpose, and nothing was in my way. If it was, I could just remove it. It's exactly as I wanted, and I can change anything I want. It actually reminded me of my old Arch setup, but easier to fix when something went wrong. Not because of documentation, because Arch has that on lock, but because I could just roll it back. And then I could worry about it later. And I had everything in that config file, which meant I wasn't accumulating random packages and tweaks that I'd forget about because I'd see it. Everything was intentional and documented as such. And because I was still learning NeoVim and Vim motions, I had planned to use Zed and VS Code, as well as JetBrains and IntelliJ, all as my main editors. And I was going to run my Rust projects on nixOS, my Go applications and Fly.io deployments via the flyctl. Plus just test out new software and languages and anything else just for fun, because that's what I like to do. And I'll do it all on the beautiful nixOS machine. But then I started noticing some friction, some problems. See, like I just said, I am the type of person to test out new things. I have a core setup that I typically like to stick to, but I want to test out other things to see if I can improve it. Hence me trying out nixOS and NeoVim and Rust as a programming language. A new AI model drops, I want to code with it. Zed releases a new feature, I want to test it out. A random developer tweets about a cool CLI tool, I'm installing it that day. And that is where me and nixOS started fighting. Getting JetBrains installed with my preferred theme and font, it was fine, but when I went to update JetBrains, everything broke or it just wouldn't work. This happened multiple times. And I wish I had footage for all of this stuff, but I was just working. I wasn't recording it all for a video, I was just working. But each time I had to dig back into configs, figure out what changed or change something, fix it again. It was this whole ordeal every single update. And then same idea with Zed and Windsurf. They're constantly getting better, constantly pushing out updates. And on Windows, I would just click a button that would update it, give me my new features, any bug fixes, any performance improvements, anything that was included in that update I had immediately. But when it came to nixOS, not exactly the same. And all of this could very well be a skill issue, I'm not sure, but it's not a skill I have time to learn right now. Every single thing on nixOS, not every, but a lot of them, I had to install via some unstable Nix package that I hoped people would continue to maintain. Or I'd have to write my own flake just to get the software I wanted, and I don't got time for that. And then what about using Bun, or like I said, flyctl for Fly.io? Tools that just worked. on every other operating system I'd used, but on nixOS, I'd have to wrestle with them. Extra config, weird paths, missing dependencies, things that should have been obvious. Oh yeah, and I did go deep into Flakes. I did spend some time learning it because everyone said that was the right way to use nixOS. You know, the stable and reproducible setup that just somehow breaks every time you add something new to it. And of course, adding every single thing to your config, then rebuilding and taking all of that time and hoping it works. And when it didn't, I would just be so deep into some sort of GitHub issue that should have been a simple curl install turned into an hour-long debugging session because I was trying to figure out what I did wrong. And here's the thing, I don't mind tinkering. I actually enjoy it. I like polishing the operating system because I like, a little bit of transparency on this window. Or maybe I want a new color scheme or rounded corners, adding some small improvements, things like that. But now I was tinkering because I had to, not because I wanted to. And that tinkering took up the time of what I wanted to do. And it ended up just being that time sink. Every single time I wanted to do those types of things. So naturally, I just found myself habitually hopping into Windows and back into WSL to code because my workflow was more streamlined here. I didn't face those same issues. Again, I could just click a button to update something. I am at a time in my life right now where I just need things to work out of the box. I tweeted out recently this right here. It's interesting how I went from jailbreaking every iPhone I had and completely customizing it to now never having touched an iPhone customization feature. No widgets, no personalized lock screen, nothing. What has happened to me? I mean, I used to go full on jailbroken Cydia, full custom theme. That was like some of the first couple videos on this channel all about that. That's because I had the time for it. Well, maybe I didn't because I had work and school and YouTube and things of that. Well, I ended up making the time for it. Now I can't make the time for it. Not the full-on, nose-down customization type stuff. The little polishing, the little tinkering, yes, but not needing to fix something all the time. I just need it to work out of the box. Or at least not crash the box. The more this happened, the less I used nixOS, to the point, like I said at the beginning of this video, I hadn't booted up this Miniforms nixOS PC in over a month. So I completely wiped the drive and installed Ubuntu after pushing my config to GitHub, of course, in the event that I returned to nixOS. And Ubuntu. Ubuntu, if you don't know, I've used in the past. It was my primary operating system at my last software engineering job, but I ran it via VM, Oracle VM on Windows. And of course, that's what I ran in WSL2 on Windows. And guess what? When I used it in either form, everything just worked. Sure, WSL2 has some quirks. When I need something to run, sometimes I need to tunnel out of Linux or mess with the nested virtualization depending on what I'm doing because we're running with WSL and Windows, and we just need to get it over there for whatever I'm working on, but that's far and few between, and I've already figured that out. Besides that, everything just worked. But after having my custom Arch years ago, and as well as the customization of nixOS, I knew I didn't want a vanilla Ubuntu. So I was going to take a little bit of time to set everything up at the beginning. Maybe it will take another 6 hours and 42 minutes. I would take everything I liked about my Arch setup, everything I liked about my nixOS setup, and throw it into Ubuntu. But then I discovered Omakube by DHH, which is the guy who created Ruby on Rails, with the first line exclaiming, "Turn a fresh Ubuntu installation into a fully configured, beautiful, and modern web development system by running a single command," with this being that command, which is exactly what I needed because, again, time. But I needed to read the manual first because I wanted to make sure that it wasn't 90% of stuff I didn't want. So that's exactly what I did. And after reading more and more about navigation and tiling and themes and fonts and clipboards and just hotkeys and shell tools and TUIs and GUIs and web apps and updating, it fit my style nearly perfectly. Sure, I don't use Basecamp, but he is the creator of Basecamp, I believe, so of course that's going to be in here. I don't use 1Password. I don't use Obsidian and, little things like that, but that's not an issue. What I really liked were the options of themes and how easy it was to change them. As you can see, all you do is run Omakube in here, and then you can choose your theme just like this, and it'll change your entire theme. It doesn't get much easier than that. And then it runs Alacrity, which I like, and ZellyJ, which I like, and then Warp, which I like is not included in here, but I also have that on there now. NeoVim, oh, and Primogen shout out down here. I didn't notice that before. How did I miss that? Oh yeah, I skipped the NeoVim section since I'm not deep into it at the moment. But then I loved the tiling of it because you could just do it quickly with commands. I didn't like how much screen real estate was wasted, so I did end up changing that a little bit, making it smaller, and just doing some of those polishes along the way. So on my fresh install of Ubuntu, I ran this command. There were some prompts, I got everything installed, it was looking pretty. I installed my specific software, set up requirements for my development environment and things like that. All of what I just mentioned, as well as more that Omakube either had that I didn't want or didn't have that I did want. Needless to say, I've made a handful of changes to Omakube to fit me, which I do enjoy doing. Again, making the little improvements over time, getting everything set up for me. The difference here is that I was improving things over time, not needing to fix something all the time. I was tinkering things because I wanted to again. But I'm saving that for the next video, or well, maybe a few videos from now, but my Ubuntu setup for software development will be out in the next week or two. So subscribe if you want to see that, hit the notification bell so you do get alerted for it. I'm not done with this video just yet because I want to make a disclaimer. It's not that nixOS failed me, it was me that failed nixOS. Because look, nixOS is awesome. It has so many things that I like about it, the selling points. I see why people like it. And I still respect the heck out of it. But it's just not for me right now. I do wish there was a bit more support from the outside coming in. Maybe something that is more similar to the Arch Wiki. I know it has something, but the Arch Wiki is just so vast and specific at the same time. It is just perfect. But it's just not for me right now. I want to code, I want to try out new dev tools and AI models and IDEs and a bunch of other software and different stacks and different technologies, not fight my machine every single time I want to do it. Ubuntu's working, Omakube, I think is how you pronounce it, is slick, and I finally found a nice workflow that isn't on Windows. For the first time in 4 or 5 years since my Arch setup. And if you're asking, well, why not Arch again? I just wanted something plug and play. And yes, DHH is working on Omarchy, which is Omakube for Arch, ever since I think it was the Primogen. No, it was PewDiePie installing Arch, the Primogen installing Arch, and then DHH, I think, was kind of excited for it. So he kind of dove into Arch, but he hadn't started that when I set all of this up. And I don't think he's finished with it yet. But maybe I'll give it a shot in the future. Who knows? When I feel like going on Arch, I don't want it to be plug and play. Like nixOS, you don't want it to be, you want it to be plug and play, but you want to customize it all yourself. You want to set everything up. No bloat, nothing unnecessary, which Omakube kind of technically installed some things that I don't need that I'll have to go back and uninstall, but it provided a good starting point and everything works smoothly. So it's just different strokes for different folks. That's it. I'm happy with my Ubuntu setup for now, polishing it as I go. And again, I'll show y'all here soon, so make sure you subscribe and check out the sponsor of today's video, Brilliant, because whether you're configuring a declarative system like nixOS or setting up a traditional distro like Ubuntu, the fundamentals of computer science remain the same. And with Brilliant, to really learn these concepts, you don't just watch videos, you actually work through interactive problems that help you understand why systems are designed the way they are. You're learning about algorithms and programming and thinking in code and computer logic and so much more, from science, other areas of technology, math. It's hands-on problem solving, working through real problems that build your logical reasoning skills. So whether you're debugging a nixOS flake or writing shell scripts for your Ubuntu setup, these problem-solving skills transfer directly to real-world development. And what I really like to do is learn a little bit every day right on my phone. Because when I'm away from my computer, I still want to learn and actually do things and not just read about things, and that's where the Brilliant app comes into play. So whether you're diving into new technologies or just doing a quick practice session, you can try everything Brilliant has to offer for free for a full 30 days. Just visit brilliant.org/ForestNight or scan the QR code on screen. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription if you choose to do that. Y'all have a good one. Goodbye.